Hey guys, Alex here, otherwise known as Clash Freestyle, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be bringing out my creativity side, and we're going to be taking a look at how you guys can make professional looking Clash of Clans thumbnails. We're going to be taking a look at what some of the other professional content creators do in the Clash of Clans community, kind of what is working for them. We're going to analyze that, and we're going to come up with something that will make your videos pop for you. So without any further ado, let's jump in and start checking out some of these thumbnails. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing here is jumping in and taking a look at a couple of these different content creators. There's three that when I'm looking for thumbnail inspiration, there's three that I usually tend to go to that I think have really good high quality level thumbnails, but there is loads in the community that have amazing thumbnails, but these are just three of the big content creators that I picked out for today's video just to show some examples. I don't want to go through too many of the different ones. First one, of course, we have to start with is Carbon Fin Gaming. He's a massive Clash of Clans YouTuber, and I have to say his thumbnails really do pull viewers. They pull me into a lot of his videos. They're very interesting thumbnails. What I've noticed he's doing a lot, and so is Lexnos recently actually, is he's putting strange different coloured renders in his thumbnails. I'm not too sure the thinking behind that. You can see in a couple of these ones, like this one here, he's got a green miner and a green hog rider. I don't know if I really like that. I like to stick with the kind of the classic sort of themes, but they're very, very eye-catching thumbnails. Every single one of them you can see really does pull you in, and they all sort of tell a story. Like if we focus in on this secret one here, he looks shocked. First of all, that's pulling me in. What is he shocked about? It's then got secret up ahead. I'm like, secrets? I want to know what secrets he's got. It's got the Ice Hound, which is one of the new troops. Again, pulling people in to see how he's using that. He's got very minimal amount of text on the screen. He's got his face reacting. You can also have characters in there like he does. And it's got a little bit of a bass in the background in the Clash of Clans scenery. But you can see loads and loads of these very, very eye-catching. We'll jump over to Clash with Eric here, who does have a slightly different style of thumbnail. Maybe slightly more cartoonish, I would say, in his text. But very, very good thumbnails once again, and he actually made a video on his statistics, which was right here. He actually spoke a lot about his thumbnails in that video, which I found incredibly interesting. You can see I've only watched a few of these, which is a bit shameful. But I'm a busy guy and I try to watch as many as I can. But very, very eye-catching videos. He's got plenty of pro players on there. He's got pictures of himself. He's got pictures of other content creators, like he's got Clash Bashing up there as well. He's got the Clash of Clans renders, some of the Clash of Clans actual cards, like you can see in this thumbnail here. He's got the Super Wizards and the Witches there. Very minimal text, so that seems to be a theme that we're looking at. We'll jump over to Judo Sloth, who probably has some of the favorite thumbnails. He's got thumbnails that I think probably the best in Clash of Clans scene. Personally, that's my opinion. I think he's very, very good with his thumbnails. I don't know if he makes them himself or if he gets other people to do them, but I really, really like his style. It's very clean, it's very eye-catching, very minimal, but it really works for him. And you can see looking at these, again, very, very minimal amount of text. He's drawing you in. He's got a few things on each thumbnail that you can quickly have a look at, and it'll draw you in. It's not filling it up with loads and loads of different things here, there, and everywhere. It's simple, it's effective, and it's very, very eye-catching. Like, for example, if we jump in and take a look at this one here, the double witch attack. He's got the super witch icon, he's got the witch icon, double attack, and then he's got some witches in the background. Very, very simple, yet incredibly effective. Now, one of the things that I found when I first started creating content was I made a very generic base. You guys probably seen it on a lot of my older videos. When I say my older videos, I only recently started putting a load of effort into my thumbnails. My older ones, incredibly simple, not really looking that good, and I can understand why they didn't pull in too many viewers. But if I analyze my thumbnails a little bit more now, I definitely can tell I'm putting a lot more time and effort into them, and I can really see that reflecting onto my view count, my analytics. So that's why today I do have a bit of design background. I've been using Photoshop for about 8-9 years now. I know my way around it, so I'm going to be kind of running you guys through how you can make a pretty professional looking thumbnail for your videos pretty easily. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get started on making this thumbnail. So I'm going to be using Photoshop for this tutorial. I've got my canvas and stuff set up, but there's a couple different alternatives. One of which I would recommend for free is GIMP. It's very, very good. I know Echo Gaming, he uses that, and it's very, very effective for him. I do have Photoshop because I do a lot of design work, so of course I'm going to use it because I think it's the better program. So if you guys want to follow along here, what you want to do is you want to click File, New, and then we can open up our canvas. Now there is two different sizes you guys can roll with. Personally, I tend to roll with the 1280 by 720. Sometimes I might push it to the 1980 by 10 or 1920 by 1080, but most of the time you're not going to need a thumbnail of that intense resolution unless it's for promotional materials somewhere else. But most of the time 1280 by 720 is going to be absolutely perfect, which is what I have opened here. Now, the first thing that you guys need to take into consideration is what is the video you're making. If you're making an attack strategy video, you're going to want to have pictures or some of the attack replays in the background of your thumbnail. And the best way to get these is just to go onto the game. Like what I do is I grab my iPad right here, I'll go onto the game and I'll just screenshot the attack that I'm covering. I will screenshot the end screen that's got what the attack composition was, so I can crop things down and I can use that. Alright, so what I'm going to be making a thumbnail on today, I'm just going to pull a random attack that I have pre-recorded. I've actually already made a thumbnail for this attack, so I kind of know what I'm doing here. But let's just jump in and kind of talk you guys through the basics. So what I like to do first of all is just bring in a base image. So here is my base image right here. I just went onto my Clash of Clans game and I screenshotted the grass. I went into the village edit mode, got rid of all the buildings and just screenshot it. You can see there's a couple of snowflakes here. I'm not too fussed about that, but this is going to be the base of my image. Already it's a Clash of Clans thumbnail. Very clear to me that this is going to be a Clash of Clans thumbnail. Next thing that I went in and thought about was, what is the actual attack strategy and what exactly am I going to need? So the attack strategy that was being used was a Lalo attack. You guys can see right here, we've got the Lava Hound, we've got the balloons, we've got the blimp, we've got a couple of super wizards. Now I just went in, used my account, got someone to put up a friendly challenge and popped that in because unfortunately I hadn't actually screenshotted the attacks when I was recording it, so I just came back in and grabbed them right here. What I'm just going to do is I'm actually just going to make this a smart object. Make sure I dragged it into another one so it's completely full size, because you can see it's actually going to be a lot bigger than the thumbnail itself. I'm just going to center this up, doesn't really matter too much about that. And then we're going to come in here and we're actually going to cut out these little bits here. So what I tend to do is I'll come over here, I will grab a rounded rectangle, we're going to find the bottom corner right here, and we're going to drag this up. Now you can see the edges here, not really what we're looking for, so I'm just going to pull out these edges a little bit until they are perfectly around, and that looks pretty spot on to me. What you can do to double check is lower the opacity. It's actually slightly off down here at the bottom, so I'm going to pull it down by 1 right there. And that looks pretty spot on to me. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put that back up to full opacity. I'm going to hold down Control on the keyboard. I'm going to click right here on this little icon. That will select this. I can then hide it because we don't need that anymore. I'm going to click on the layer that we want to make a mask out of. And I'm going to click this little icon down here. That will cut out everything but the Lava Hound. You can see that's exactly what it does. If I zoom out, the only thing we have left up here is the Lava Hound, which is exactly what we want. But we want to grab a couple more from this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Control and J on my keyboard. That's going to duplicate up this one. I'm just going to convert this to a smart object. We can then hide that, we don't need that anymore, and we can delete the previous layer mask, and we are all set. We're back to square one here, and we can now focus in on the next one. I'm going to come across here, I'm going to make sure that this rectangle is directly over the balloon. It doesn't matter if it's slightly cut off at the edge, it's going to look pretty good either way. Again, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to create another layer mask just so it cuts out this one. Click on the layer, make sure it's selected, Control J to make another duplicate, and we're just going to continue to rinse and repeat this exact same format. I'm going to use this again to grab the blimp right here, push that across by 1, select that, layer mask, Control J, convert to smart object. You guys are definitely, I would imagine, getting the picture of this. We've got one more to do, which is going to be the super wizard over here on this right hand side. We're going to select this up, we're going to do this, and we don't need to duplicate it this time because we don't need it anymore. So now we have all of our cards right here. They are, however, a little bit small. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to actually push all of these together. What I did there was I clicked Control A, that's to select the entire thing, and then we are going to center this. As long as you have you've clicked V on your keyboard or you're hovered over this and clicked on this, you can then go bam, bam, and that will center everything that you have selected over here on the right hand side quite nicely. Alright, now we have done that, I'm going to group these together by clicking Control G on the keyboard, and what we're going to do is we're just going to make this a little bit bigger. Something around about there is probably going to be perfect. Now, you will notice because we have made this slightly bigger, it's going to lose a little bit of its quality. So we're going to come in and we're just going to use a little bit of a sharpen on it. So I like to use Smart Sharpen here. It goes to Filter, Sharpen, Smart Sharpen. And then you can see these are the settings that I like to do. Amount 250, radius 1.0, and then reduce noise 60, remove Gaussian blur, however it's said. So that's what I like to do for all mine. Sometimes it's a little bit much, so you guys can reduce or do more as and what you feel like. But we're just going to use that Smart Sharpen for every single one of these. Go through each individual layer using the Smart Sharpen. Obviously, it was the last filter that we used, so luckily it's just going to be right here at the top. And now that we have done that, that is looking pretty good. And what we can do is we can space these out a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, by holding Shift on the keyboard, I can click and move them parallel to each other. I'm going to pull these across, select them all, make sure again you're over here, and you're going to click this icon right here. That is going to do this, make sure they're all evenly spaced. And now clicking on the group, we can move these wherever we would like. Maybe this is a little bit big for me. What you can do, don't worry about the reapplying smart filters. Just going to do this, make them slightly smaller, and already this thumbnail is starting to come together. But what you'll see in a lot of professional thumbnails is some really clean, sleek text. So that's what we're going to create now. Let's pull up my sleeves a little bit, it's getting a bit toasty in here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to jump over, I'm going to click T on the keyboard, that's going to give me the type tool. Now I do want my text to be white, so I'm just going to click this little icon here. So we're actually currently got the color white selected. If you don't have black and white here, you can click on this little icon, which will automatically make whatever you have black and white. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to type Blizzard, because it's a little bit small here actually, so we'll make this a lot bigger. I'm going to type in Blizzard. And that's our first word that we're going to be focusing in. I tend to do one word and then I can duplicate the settings off of that one and make another one. Now what I always like to do, and you'll see in pretty much every single thumbnail, we're going to jump in here, we're going to select that, we're going to click this little icon up here, we're going to click Style, and we're going to put it on arc. Now we only want this to be something like 3, we don't want it to be anything crazy, but you can see now it's just a little bit more animated, it's got that slight bend on it, which I think's really good. Now what we're going to come in and do is we're just going to focus on the text itself a little bit more. So we're going to double click here on the Blizzard word. That's going to pull up our layer styles. We can pull that down here just so we can focus in and take a little bit more of a look at it. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of an inner shadow. You can see I previously had red selected from a different thumbnail, but I'm going to actually make this black. We don't want the size to be too much. I'm going to pull that down a little, just a little bit. I'm going to pull the distance down a little bit. We just want this to be kind of on the edge here, something like that, just so it gives it a little bit more of a 3D effect. Maybe push this up to 3, but that looks really good right now. We're then going to add a really basic stroke. We're going to come in here. I do want this stroke to be black. Nothing too heavy, that does look a little bit much there, so we're going to go for something like 6. And already this is starting to look pretty eye-catching. I really do like how this is coming along. So we're going to duplicate this. You can either click Control J on the keyboard, or like I did there, I pressed Alt and then click Shift and I just dragged it down. And we're just going to name this Blizzard Lalo. What we're going to do, click Control T on the keyboard, and we're going to size this right up because we want the word Lalo to be kind of the same width as Blizzard. Now to center both of these, you can do what we did before. Click Control A, select both of these, come over here to this icon and select these. Now they are both centered, which is perfect. We can group those together and bring them over here. Blizzard Lalo looking pretty cool, but I don't think it's quite as cool as it could be. So we're going to double click now on the group rather than the individuals, so we can start working away on specific things here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of a drop shadow. We want this to be on normal, opacity up to 100%. And and we're just going to make this black. And this does, I always find, make a really nice 3D effect. You can see we're going to drop this down a little bit. And without this 3D effect, it just lacks a little bit. But with it, I think it looks pretty damn sweet. What I'm going to go in and do is I'm actually just going to push this inner shadow up a little bit. I just think it's maybe not quite enough here. Push that up to about 5 on the Lalo. And that is looking really epic. I love how this thumbnail is coming along. You guys can see a few simple clicks and it's already very effective. Now, if you guys are interested in finding the Supercell font, it's all over the internet. It's called Supercell Magic. You should be able to find it very easily. Now, one thing this is definitely missing here is a border. I always love to put borders on all of my work. So what we're going to do, really simple, we're going to come in here, we're going to grab a rectangle, we are going to click because we want this to be 1280 by 720. That is going to be the exact size of the canvas. To center it, you guys should be familiar with this, Control A on the keyboard, and then we're going to come over here and do this. And well, this isn't really much of a border, so we're going to clear out the fill color and we're going to make it a border. There we go. So 5 is the width of this right now. I'm going to zoom in by clicking Alt and then scrolling on my mouse here. And I'm just going to come in and I'm going to scale this down a little bit, but we do want it to be symmetrical here. So what I did there was I pressed Alt and Shift on the keyboard just to make sure it stayed sort of relatively symmetrical. I'm then going to pull this out a little bit right there. We want to make sure that it's exactly as we want it to be. Something like this probably going to look pretty good. Yeah, that's looking very nice, and I like the white around the border, so it's starting to come together already. Now what I'm going to jump in here and do is put something over here on this left hand side, because it's definitely missing something. We could either use the Super Wizard, we could use the balloon, or we could use the Lava Hound. So I'm just going to jump onto Google and we're going to hop over and see if we can find something. Alright, so before I actually head on over to Google, Clash of Clans itself, the Supercell team, have actually put out a fan kit for anyone to use, which is absolutely perfect. You can see it was unfortunately only updated October 19th last year, so there's a few things that haven't actually been put in it yet. There's also a lot that I think is missing from there, but there is still some really good stuff in it. You can find this on the Supercell forums. I'll leave a link in the description to this exact thread so you guys can find it for yourself. This will give you a link right here to the fan kit, which will take you to this Dropbox. This has loads and loads of different characters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to click on the characters, wait until see what we've got here. Looks like we've got loads and loads of cool characters coming in. We do also have the Super Troops. So I wonder if we've got the Super Wizard in here. Let's see. We do not have the Super Wizard in here because it's the newest of the troops, which is a little bit unfortunate. I was hoping we might have the Super Wizard, but I think we may just need to settle for the balloon. So what we can do is we can come in here and we can just download this, direct download, and that will pull that up right there. We can then simply drag this directly into our Photoshop. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull that across here. I'm going to scale it up a little bit. I actually want this to go over. I'm going to rotate it. You can see if we just come out of the box right here, I'm just going to rotate it round, and something like that I think looks really cool. Just going to push it up a little bit more, something like this. And that already is starting to come together. Looking really epic is this thumbnail. Going to make this text slightly smaller. We don't want it to stand out too much. It just needs to be eye-catching enough that it's going to pull people in. Alright, definitely starting to come together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few shadows and whatnot onto the background. So I'm just going to simply grab some black and white. I'm going to click B on my keyboard to grab the brush. I'm going to scale this up using the bracket keys on my keyboard. And I'm just going to kind of brush in a little bit here and there because I think it's just... It's a bit too samey in the background, so I'm just going to do this just so it's got some dark and light spots just to mix it up ever so slightly. I'm also then going to add in a little bit of a glow behind this balloon, so we're going to double click on the balloon, come over here to outer glow, and look at that. Suddenly this white glow looking really cool. This is something that Judo Sloth uses a lot in his thumbnails. You can see it really does start to make it pop. I don't think we maybe need it quite as much as that, so we're going to just reduce it down a little bit, but that looks pretty cool indeed. We're then going to add a little bit of a glow. Let me find the correct one behind here as well. So we're just going to do this. I'm actually going to probably make this maybe a slightly bluer glow rather than anything else. What you can do is you can mess with the blending mode. I tend to go for linear dodge. I think that always looks pretty cool, and something like that. And this thumbnail is pretty much done. You can see incredibly simple, yet really effective. You can see we've got Blizzard Lalo, the text right there. People know exactly what the strategy is. We've got the exact troop composition that was used: 3 lava hounds, the blimp with the super wizards, and then we've got the balloons themselves. Then we've got the big balloon over there on that left hand side, just to highlight the fact it's a Lalo more than anything else. And if we zoom out sort of to the size that a thumbnail might be, you guys can see Blizzard Lalo really stands out, and we've got that balloon on the left hand side. So that is how easy it is to make a thumbnail. Your biggest tool here and your biggest asset is screenshotting things directly out the game. Like I did with this one right here. I just went in, it took me 2 seconds to get a friend to put up a friendly challenge just so I could use that composition. I screenshotted it on my iPad, which has really good resolution. I can then drag it in, crop out these things, and I've got the pre-made material already there. The text itself, you guys saw how incredibly easy it was for me to make that text, and I found that render very quickly through the Supercell forums and through their fan pack. So yeah, that is how to make a really simple yet effective Clash of Clans thumbnail. You guys can adapt this to whatever you are doing. If you're doing a crazy strategy, maybe put one of like put an image of you cut out on this left hand side. Mix up the text, change up the characters. You guys can do what you want, but making a Clash of Clans thumbnail doesn't need to be this massive complicated task. Sometimes simple yet effective is the better route to go. As you guys saw from Carbon, from Judo, from Eric, they've got simple yet really effective thumbnails, and they are killing it right now. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you could drop a like on this video. Share it as well if you did learn something. Leave a comment below if you're going to try some of these techniques out yourself. And I'll catch you guys in the next video, whenever that's going to be. Peace.